Spirit Untamed was released in 2021 and was directed by Elaine Bogan. It tells the story of Lucky Prescott, who moves to an area where her mother used to perform, and she forms a very strong bond with a horse named Spirit.
I remember when the TV show Spirit Riding Free came out, and I was really annoyed about its existence. I'd seen the first episode when the show first came out back in 2017, and I hated the first episode, so I didn't bother watching the rest back then. As for my thoughts on the original Spirit film, Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron, I think it is a beautiful film. It is so beautifully made, wonderfully crafted, just overall a genuinely great movie in my opinion. So, as for Spirit Untamed, I was not excited for it at all. I thought it looked awful, the animation looked cheap, and I really wasn't interested to, watch it. I mainly decided to watch it just for the sake of this review. And after watching the movie last night, I thought the movie was fine. Yeah, fine. It's not great. It's better than I imagined it would be, but not very good at all. The storyline was shockingly boring. I was genuinely very, very shocked at how boring the story was. It was just bland. It was boring. It was dull. It was just really, really uninteresting. I wasn't invested. It was genuinely pretty hard to get invested in the story due to how incredibly bland it was. And it just, from the beginning, I was like, maybe it's not going to be too bad, but then it just comes across as boring. It's not a very good story. It's really, really boring. It's so boring. I genuinely really don't understand this movie's existence. It's just, the storyline was boring. It's simple. It's as simple as that. It's a very, very, very boring story. It's not interesting. It's not compelling. It's not engaging. It's not, fun. It's just a boring story. Okay, there are some decent things. There is some decent character dialogue and interaction, and there is some decent heartfelt moments, and the bond with Lucky and Spirit is quite strong actually. It's not amazing, but it's nice. It has some heart to the movie, but it's just a boring storyline in my opinion. The animation, I believe the movie had a budget of $30 million. And I was genuinely just shocked at how cheap the budget was, because the film is so cheap looking. Now, the horse animation is quite nice, and I do like the designs of the horses. Granted, they will look far better in 2D animation, but they look nice enough for what they are. But I'm just shocked that, for a DreamWorks standard film, the animation is just so cheap looking to me. It just looked very, very cheap. And I was just, wow, this is DreamWorks? And I know they're under Universal, and apparently there's some changes going on with their movies, but I was just like, what? This is a DreamWorks movie? It just shocked me how cheap the animation was. It didn't look that good in my opinion. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it looked cheap. It looked cheap. The animation didn't impress me. It didn't impress me all that much. And the characters weren't even all that great either.
I don't really care for Lucky. She wasn't really all that interesting, and I just found her character to be really, really boring. The dad I quite like. He was entertaining and well designed and well voiced by Jake Gyllenhaal.
To Mysterio!
I didn't even recognize it was him until the end credits.
I didn't mind Spirit. He was fine in this film. Not as good as he was in the original, but he was fine here for what it is. And every other character was just same. It just not very interesting. It was very hard for me to actually, like the characters just due to how bland they were. I liked the dad, but that was only because he was entertaining. The soundtrack is pretty good. It's not that bad. It's pretty good. So there is some merit in this film. I do think there is some genuine good things about the movie. Not great things, decent things at best, that do prevent it from being as bad as I thought it would be, but it's not very good.
Overall, Spirit Untamed is better than I had expected, but not very good. It has a very boring story, cheap animation, bland characters, but it does have some nice heartfelt moments, some decent dialogue, and a decent soundtrack, but that's just enough to prevent the movie from being mediocre in my opinion. I'm going to give Spirit Untamed a 6 out of 10.
So yeah, it's better than I imagined, but I don't like it either. I'm not impressed. I am not impressed. I am not impressed with this film. So, that was my review for Spirit Untamed. Stay tuned for my next review, and until then guys, skadoosh everyone, and take care.